Today's date is 3/15/21, and we're doing proportional relationships. Proportional relationships. You have done a little bit in 6th grade. Okay, you did a little bit in 6th grade. I just get to build more. All right, so usually you start off with like a sentence or two. So let's see. The cost of 3 bags of chips is $4.20. What is the cost of 1 bag? Okay, so proportional relationships is basically what is also known as unit rate. Maybe I'll write that down. Unit rate. Unit rate. So the question will always kind of ask you like, well, what does one cost? They always tell you like what multiple things cost or how long multiple things take. But I want to know, well, how much does one thing cost? Or how long does it take me to run 1 mile? Not 5, but 1 mile, for example. How long does it take me to bake 1 cupcake, not 100 cupcakes? So unit rate is always one of something. So here it's asking you the cost of 1. So what do we have to do? We have to divide. Hence on your whatchamacallit, your do now, there's like a divide question. It's been like that since last week. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is to divide. So put $4.20 in the box and then the 3 outside. Okay? So we divide. We get 1. That's 3. Sean, pay close attention. That gives you a remainder of 1. You bring down the 2, right? So 3 goes into 12 how many times? 4. That goes on top of the 2. That's 12. Bring down the 0, 0. Cool. So that means that 1 bag is $1.20. $1.40. Sorry, $1.40. Okay. So number 2. This is what we call the unit rate. Have you guys heard of unit rate in 6th grade? Did you guys do unit rate in 6th grade? Anyone? Oh, bad. Okay, so unit rate is when you find one of something, okay? In 7th grade, are you ready to be traumatized? In 7th grade, we call it the constant of proportionality. Okay? And constant of proportionality is just a fancy word for unit rate, which just stands for 1. What's the cost of 1 bag of chips? How many miles can you run in 1 hour? Whatever 1 is. So in 7th grade, we call it the constant of proportionality. On tests and quizzes and whatnot, worksheets, they'll be like, what's the constant of proportionality? And you're like, the what? The who? Huh? All that means, it's a fancy word for unit rate. Unit rate is constant of proportionality. And our constant of proportionality in this problem is $1.40. That's the constant of proportionality. That's called the unit rate, is 140, when you're finding one of something, okay? So what I'm going to teach you today is how to fill in your table. So we have a table. It can be written horizontal. It can be written vertical. The first one I'm going to show you is the horizontal. You'll always have X and Y, okay? X is the one of something. I don't know. That's how I say it. X will always because kids, okay, so kids always mess us up. Like, what is X and Y? Which one's X? Which one's Y? It's 100% up to you to figure it out. There's one correct answer and then the other one's wrong. So X will always represent what the one of something that you're solving for. You're solving for $1 or one bag. What are we solving for? $1 or one bag in our problem? One bag. So that therefore X will stand for bags of chips. Okay? So X represents the one of something. Are you finding $1 or one bag? Because that's the two things we're talking about in this problem. We're talking about bags and money. So did you solve for $1 or did you solve for one bag? Oh, I solved for one bag. So therefore, that by default makes your X bags of chips. Okay? So your Y is the other one. Like, what else are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about money. Okay, so the top is bags of chips, the bottom is your money. So then you're going to fill out a table. Usually you start with 0, 1, 2, 3, let's do 4. Okay, so X will 99.99999% will always be these numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 99% of the time, these are the numbers I'm looking for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the bottom is what you get to fill out. That's the math part about it. Knowing your unit rate, you can fill out the bottom part. And sometimes it's just common sense. Okay, if I buy 0 bags of chips, how much is that going to cost me? 0 bags of chips. $0, correct. If I buy 1 bag of chips, how much is 1 bag of chips going to cost me? $1.40. What about 2 bags of chips? 3 bags, that's what's in my problem, right? $1.40. No, I'm sorry, $4.20. 4 bags of chips. How much is 4 bags of chips? 5.6. Thank you, Ketsy. Okay. And I'm assuming a lot. I'm assuming you guys realize all we did from here to here was add 140, add 140 plus 140, right? All the way. Right? You guys saw that? So it's extremely important that you figure out what's the constant of proportionality, the unit rate, right? And you actually get that answer right because this number is what we're going to be using to fill out our whole table. Okay, so this is called a T table. It has our values X and Y. Not today, but eventually we're going to be graphing this. Okay, what I would like you to do in your notes, I'd like you to leave some space because we're going to come back. There's two or three things I still got to teach you from this, but not today. I don't want to overwhelm you today. I want you to feel comfortable with this. We're going to do a couple more problems, but I want you to feel comfortable with this today before I add a couple more things. So leave me some space. You see how much space I have? This is plenty of space for me to go back either Wednesday or Thursday to fill stuff in, or even next Monday, depending on how fast we go. So just leave some space, okay? Like this is good. This is good enough space. So you skip some space, however you want to do. You have your notes in front of you. Just leave me some space before you start writing the next one down. Okay? Do I expect you to be like pros at this right now? No, I do not. Okay, we're going to work through a couple more. Don't be like, oh my God, I don't understand anything she just said. Pay close attention to me. And hopefully it's not too bad. All right. Let's do, for the sake of my sanity and your sanity, let's do an easy one. That one's a little bit harder because of the decimal. Kids kind of like freak out with a decimal. So let's do an easier one just for sake of, oh, I see. I'm not worried about the math. I see what the pattern is and whatnot. Okay, so let's do this one, which is a lot easier on the math. Okay. The cost of 5 cereal boxes is $10, right? What is the cost of 1 box? Okay, write that down. The cost of 5 cereal boxes is $10. What is the cost of 1 box? Okay, so first step, to divide, right? Okay. Another thing is like which number goes inside. Now this is pretty easy, right? You understand it's 2, but when it gets like really different numbers and like really odd numbers, sometimes kids have a hard time like which number goes inside. Especially if it end up with the decimal, some kids are just like which one goes inside. So in division, your x goes outside and your y goes inside. So the 1 of something, I call it the 1 of something. That makes sense to me. Hopefully by the end of today, the 1 of something makes sense to you. It's like 1 of something, like what are you trying to solve for? Okay, what are you trying to solve for? So, oh, the 1 of something, I'm trying to solve the 1 of box. Oh, okay, so that means that this number outside represents boxes. Oh, well, here in my problem, 5 cereal boxes, that means the 5 goes outside and then the money goes inside. Again, this problem, you're like, well, duh, Miss Amelia, I knew that. I understand that. But what I need you to not be stubborn on is sometimes these numbers are weird numbers. They're both decimals. And you're just like, does the big number go inside? And sometimes the big number doesn't go inside. So these like rules of elementary where you're like, put the big number inside. They don't, they're not always true with 7th grade math. So just remember the number outside is the 1 of something. So whatever the 1 you're trying to find, okay, I'm trying to find 1 box. So therefore boxes will go outside. Boxes will be your X. Set it up. Yes, it's 2, right? So what do we call that? We call that in 6th grade, we call it the unit rate. The unit rate in 6th grade. In 7th grade, which is what you'll be reading when you're doing, it's raining hard, is the constant of proportionality. Okay? I'll eventually abbreviate constant of proportionality, but today we're going to have to write it out. We have to get used to writing it. We have to get used to reading it. We have to get used to these words that are like, what in the world is constant of proportionality? That's called unit rate. In this problem, the unit rate is equal to $2. Okay, the unit rate is equal to $2. Okay, so a couple of things. So this is number 2. So once you divide, you find the unit rate, which is number 2. The third thing I need you to do is to create a table. Okay, so we'll create a table. Top number is your X, bottom number is your Y. Okay, X, you have to label this. X will represent either cereal boxes or money because those are the 2 things we're talking about. And X in this case is boxes of cereal. And Y is your money. Okay? So X represents my boxes because that's what I'm finding 1 of. I'm finding the cost of 1 box. I'm not finding $1. How many boxes can I get with $1? I'm not asking you how many boxes can you get with $1. I'm asking how much money do I need for 1 box? Oh, you need $2. Oh, okay, cool. So usually on the X's, we'll ask you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll do 5 because that's our problem. Okay, so then you ask yourself, okay, if I buy 0 boxes, that's obviously going to be a cost of 0, right? 1 box is your unit rate. 1 box is your unit rate, so that's $2, right? 2 boxes is 4, 3 boxes is 6, 8, 10. You know you did it right if the one that they actually give you, this is the information that they already gave you. They already told you that 5 is 10. When you do your table and you count and you start counting by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and you actually hit this one, then you know you did it right. But if you start counting and all of a sudden like this is like 9 or 925, you know that you made a mistake. Like Saeed, like on my computer, you see like the time stop. Oh no. Oh no. This is
So what happens, like your hand stops moving, then after like 10 seconds or more, it like starts again, and it just goes like a.
Yes, please leave a space for the other one. Yeah. I'm thinking, like for me, it's taking up like a whole page, one problem per page. Because we still have to ask you key questions that are very common to ask. We still have to graph, we still do an equation. Lots of stuff.
The one per page.
Yeah,
so each question is a page?
About like but you know what? But I do write a lot bigger, so maybe half a page for each problem. So I know you guys don't write this big. I do because 1, I write big, and 2, so you guys can read it. And then leave space because I still have to ask you a couple questions, and I still have to show you how to graph, and I still have to show you how to do an equation. This one, I still left a chunk. You don't leave that. I mean, you're gonna be writing questions, and you're gonna be drawing a graph. So it's up to you. It's not the end of the world if you don't have enough space, but just space them out. Just space them out. Don't like shrink them all together because I'm not done with these. I'm probably halfway done with each of these problems. Okay? So it's important that you don't lose these notes because we're going to go back to them. And if you lose them, you're going to have to recopy them from the very beginning, which no bueno. All right. So first step is to divide. Which number goes inside? Which number goes outside? Oh, per. Does everybody understand what the word per means? What is the cost per? Does anybody know what per means in math? It means 2 things, but in this problem, 1. Yes. Per means 1 pound, right? Oh, so it's 1 pound. So whatever we're finding 1 of, this is your X, which means it goes outside. So pounds goes outside. Cool. What number represents my pounds? 6. The other thing we're talking about, which is money, goes inside. Notice that the big number goes outside in this problem. So don't always go, the big number goes inside. Not true. Not true in this problem. I do start with a lot of like money questions because those are the easiest ones to understand. Money ones, once we move away from money, they're a little bit harder to understand, a little bit. Okay, so 6 goes into 2 0 times. And then we look at 24. That gives me 4. So that's 24, 0, 0, 0. Now, if you need a calculator, that's cool. Use it. You plug this number in first, then this number. Whatever number is inside the box goes inside the calculator. Type it in first, then the number outside, you plug it in second. That takes skills too. Okay. The constant of proportionality. If you know how to spell proportionality now, good job. Constant of proportionality is equal to, why am I writing is equal to 40 cents. Okay? The constant of proportionality is equal to 40 cents. All right? Now, this is the second thing you need to do. And then the third thing for today is to create a table. Your top number represents your X, your bottom number represents your Y. And yes, you have to label. So X in this problem is pounds of apples. And your Y represents money. 99% of the time, money is Y. If you're dealing with a problem with money, 99% of the time, money is Y. Sometimes it changes, but for the most part, if you're dealing with money, it's usually a Y. So usually 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it's blank, you fill in 0 through whatever, however many squares there are, if it's 0. Okay, money, if I buy 0 pounds, that's going to be 0. If I buy 1 pound, well, that's my constant of proportionality. So this answer will always be in your 1, okay? Whatever your constant of proportionality is, you always put it when X is 1, Y is your constant of proportionality. When X is 1, your Y is your constant of proportionality. So 0.4. Then how do we go from here? We just add 0.4, add 0.4, add 0.4, add 0.4. If you want to do that with your calculator, that's cool. As long as you get the right answers, I'm cool with that. So 0.4 plus 0.4 is 0.8. 0.8 plus 0.4 is 1.2, 1.6, and $2, right? If I were to add another 1.4, I would get 2.4, which would give me 6. And hey, that's the information they gave me. So unless it's like 300 and you don't want to go up to 300, I get it. But if it's like a close number, just check like, oh yeah, look, it actually works. If I keep adding my constant or proportionality, keep adding your constant of proportionality and you end up getting what you started with. 6 pounds is 240. You're on the right track. You know that you are correct. If this number did not end up 2.4, then you either added wrong or your constant of proportionality is not correct. That's how you can tell. One way you can tell, at least. All right? So be careful, be careful, be careful. Again, you could have done this with your calculator. You just grab. So you type the number that's inside 2.4 divided by the number outside. That's 0.4. Here, underneath the 1, don't start with a 0. Underneath the 1 is 0.4. Then you keep adding 0.4 plus 0.4 plus 0.4. So you can do that with the calculator. Just keep adding. For the most part, some of you can just do it in your head. That's fine. If you want to use a calculator, that's fine, but you have to know how to use a calculator. Some kids, unfortunately, this is what they'll do. They'll do 6 divided by 2.4. Oh, my answer is 2.5. And it's like, ooh, no. And it looks like a nice number, so they'll think it's correct. It's like, I did 6 divided by 2.4, Miss O'Malley, and I got 2.5. That's the constant of proportionality. And they'll do all the work, and I'm like, okay, so did 6 pounds cost $2.40? No, it cost like $18. And you're just like, and that didn't like ring a bell? So be careful when you do this part. If you're going to use a calculator, make sure you type in the inside number first. If you type this number, you get an answer. It's going to look like it's right, but it's not. So be very, very careful. All right. Any questions?